The drizzle had finally cleared, leaving behind a muggy haze and the sharp tang of Nevada's sagebrush in the air. Tom Harris, 57, was wrestling with a sagging gatepost when the sound of familiar paws crunching gravel made him pause. Rusty, his 8-year-old Australian shepherd, had been gone for hours, a rarity since they'd settled into this quiet stretch of backcountry. Tom's chest tightened as he looked up. Rusty wasn't alone. Trailing the mud-soaked dog were two small, tawny creatures, equally drenched and caked in dirt, stumbling to keep up. Two bobcat kittens, barely 6 to 8 weeks old, their eyes wide with exhaustion and fear. "Holy smokes," Tom muttered, letting his wrench clatter to the ground. After decades volunteering at wildlife sanctuaries, he knew bobcats when he saw them, uncommon this far out in the scrublands. Rusty stopped a dozen steps away, his gaze steady, almost proud. The kittens collapsed in a heap, panting, their spotted fur matted with mud. As Tom stepped closer, Rusty let out a low, unfamiliar rumble, shifting to stand between him and the kittens. The warning was clear. These were his to protect. Tom backed off, scanning the muddy tracks leading to the swollen creek nearby. The recent downpour must have guided Rusty to them. His instincts screamed that these kittens didn't belong here. Bobcats weren't native to this exact patch of desert, and kittens this young wouldn't wander alone. The horizon was empty, no sign of a mother or others, just the whisper of wind through the greasewood and the gurgle of the creek. He swung open the door to his old barn, now a makeshift workshop, and gestured for Rusty. To his surprise, the kittens wobbled after the dog, collapsing inside on a pile of straw. Tom grabbed his phone and dialed Lisa Carter, a former colleague from the Nevada Wildlife Coalition. "Lisa, you're not going to believe this," he said, recounting the scene. Her response was quick. "Tom, we just got word of a smuggler's van that crashed crossing a flooded wash, maybe 4 miles from you. Exotic animals, some escaped. Authorities are still searching." The puzzle clicked into place. Wildlife traffickers, Tom's lifelong enemy, must have been hauling these kittens illegally. The storm had given them a slim chance to break free. When Lisa offered to retrieve the kittens, Tom glanced at Rusty, who was diligently licking mud from their fur. "We've got a snag, Lisa," he said. "Rusty's claimed them." He explained the dog's protective bond and argued that separating them now could harm all three. With his years of animal handling, he convinced her to let him keep them a few days until they stabilized. 3 days, Tom, Lisa warned. Daily reports. Tom rummaged through his supplies, pulling out carnivore formula, a first aid kit, and old quilts. He set up a cozy corner in the barn, spreading the softest blankets. When he returned, Rusty had already herded the kittens into the nook, cleaning them with a tenderness that rivaled any mother. Tom named the kittens. The bigger one, with keen eyes and darker spots, became Jasper. The smaller, feistier one was Scout. They slept curled against Rusty, seeking his warmth. That first night, Tom dozed in a creaky rocking chair, jerking awake at every sound. But Rusty had it handled, responding to the kittens' every stir. When Jasper whined with hunger, Rusty nudged Tom toward the formula bottle. By dawn, Tom found Rusty leading the kittens outside, showing them where to relieve themselves, an absurd sight, a dog teaching bobcats. "All right, partner," Tom said, scratching Rusty's ears. 3 days. Let's do this. Tom turned the barn into a temporary nursery, checking the kittens' health. They were dehydrated and skittish, but uninjured. Rusty skipped meals to stay by their side, guiding them to eat and play safely on the damp ground. Jasper and Scout took to their names fast, their sharp minds surprising Tom. Over the next days, Rusty didn't just nurture them. He taught them. He showed Jasper how to stalk through puddles, belly low, and Scout how to clean her paws. The kittens mimicked Rusty's sprawl, his soft chuffs, even his cautious steps. On day 2, Tom caught Rusty teaching Jasper to stalk a pile of rags, the dog's ears just visible above a crate. Scout, too restless, bounded in, ruining the lesson, but Rusty patiently started over. Tom scribbled notes, filming the trio for a rare glimpse into cross-species bonding. By the 3rd day, when Lisa returned, the kittens were transformed, agile, curious, circling her boots but keeping a wary distance, a trick Rusty had instilled. I've never seen anything like it, Lisa said, watching Rusty guide Scout across a puddle. He's raising them to be bobcats. Tom nodded, but the deadline loomed. Guess you're taking them now. Lisa studied the scene, Rusty coaching Scout to groom, Jasper pouncing on a stick with new precision. We can stretch it a bit, she said. This is special. Experts will want to see this. But Tom, you know this can't last forever. Tom understood. Jasper and Scout were wild, not pets. One day, they'd be fierce predators, too big for his barn. For now, though, he'd make every moment count. Distant desert mountains, creating a new day, a new beginning for all. Lisa extended the kitten's stay by a week, stipulating that a veterinarian check Jasper and Scout as health. Tom agreed, aware that each day strengthened the bond between Rusty and the Bobcat kittens. The next day, Dr. Ellen Hayes, a vet Tom knew from his sanctuary days, arrived. Her jaw dropped at the sight of Rusty coaching the kittens to lap water from a dish without splashing. In 35 years, I've never seen anything like this, she said. Rusty is not just protecting them. He is teaching them. She confirmed Jasper and Scout were thriving, surpassing the development of bobcat kittens she'd seen in captivity. There is something in Rusty's approach we could study, she mused, leaving Tom with more questions than answers. The week stretched into 2, then 3. Jasper and Scout grew fast, their lithe frames hinting at the agile predators they'd become. Tom turned part of his yard into a secure play zone with rocks for climbing and a shallow trough for splashing. One afternoon, about 6 weeks after their arrival, Tom witnessed something extraordinary. Rusty had set a stuffed squirrel on a rope Tom could tug across the yard. The dog crouched low, signaling Jasper and Scout to follow suit. As Tom pulled the rope, Rusty crept forward, pausing when the prey moved. Jasper mimicked him with uncanny precision, while Scout, true to form, bounced out of cover, spoiling the hunt. Tom yanked the rope. Rusty, unfazed, gently nudged Scout back to the starting point, occasionally gripping the scrappy kitten by the scruff like a mother bobcat. After several tries, Scout grasped the need for patience, and the trio caught the squirrel together. Tom logged every detail, hoping his notes could aid wildlife rehabilitation. Rusty seemed to grasp that Jasper and Scout weren't pups, but a different species, tailoring his lessons to their bobcat instincts through clever games. Jasper, focused and cautious, became Rusty's star pupil, learning to move silently and blend into the brush. Scout, ever spirited, picked up teamwork and coordination. Remarkably, Rusty instilled boundaries with soft growls, teaching control vital for future predators. Lisa visited regularly, first weekly, then bi-weekly, bringing food and tracking the kitten's progress. Each time, she marveled at their growth and Rusty's role. This defies everything we know, she said, watching Rusty guide the kittens through the trough to splash without fear. Researchers would scoff without your videos. By 10 weeks, the dynamic shifted. Jasper began leading Rusty to new corners of the yard, showing off innate stalking moves. Scout, playful and social, invented chase games, pulling Rusty in. Tom saw a true exchange, a makeshift family built on mutual respect. Rusty wasn't just a stand-in parent. He was part of their tiny bobcat pack. One evening, when the kittens were nearly 3 months old, Lisa called, her tone heavy. Dr. Martinez at the Sagebrush Reserve is ready, she said. They've got a space for Jasper and Scout. They're big enough to go, Tom. Outside, Rusty was teaching the kittens to stalk through sagebrush in the fading light. Tom knew Lisa was right. Jasper and Scout were wild, not house cats. Tomorrow morning, Lisa said firmly. Sleepless, Tom listened to the kittens' playful tussles in the barn, Rusty's soft chuffs calming them. He wondered if Rusty sensed their time was short. By dawn, Tom had a plan. He called Lisa, pitching a gradual transition involving Rusty. Leveraging his wildlife experience and connections, he proposed short visits to the reserve, letting Jasper and Scout adjust while keeping Rusty's bond intact. It's not just for them, Tom said. It's data for conservation. Skeptical at first, Lisa warmed to the idea after reviewing Tom's meticulous records. She agreed to pitch it to the reserve. A week later, The Sagebrush Reserve approved Tom's program, seeing a rare chance to study cross-species bonding. Tom and Rusty began taking Jasper and Scout for brief reserve visits. At first, the kittens clung to Rusty, wary of the new space. But Rusty nudged them to explore, even approaching other bobcats. He stepped back, intervening only when needed, as if he knew his role was to ease them into their world. Reserve researchers documented it all, stunned by Rusty's instincts and the kittens' adaptability. Despite their dog-led upbringing, Jasper and Scout retained their bobcat nature, enhanced by Rusty's unique lessons. After 4 months, the kittens were fully settled at the reserve, no longer the muddy strays Rusty had found. They'd grown sleek and bold, mingling with other bobcats, though their quirks, perhaps Rusty's legacy, set them apart. The reserve, impressed by Tom's expertise, offered him a role advising a new program on using dogs to raise orphaned wildlife. Rusty and the kitten story became a landmark study in interspecies dynamics. On their final visit, under a drizzly Nevada sky, Tom and Rusty watched Jasper and Scout tumble with other bobcats in the mud. The kittens, now strong and confident, froze at Rusty's soft bark, their eyes lighting up. They bounded to the fence, not aggressively but joyfully, like the tiny cubs trailing Rusty that first day. Tom felt a tear slip, not from loss, but from awe at the bond formed in such unlikely circumstances. True care, he realized, was letting go so Jasper and Scout could thrive as bobcats. Rusty, standing tall beside him, seemed to know it too. He gave a final glance at the kittens, then turned for home, his mission complete. As Tom and Rusty drove away from the Sagebrush Reserve, the desert stretched endlessly before them, the last rays of the setting sun painting the mountains in hues of amber and violet. Tom's hand rested on Rusty's head, the dog's fur warm and familiar under his palm. The weight of the day settled in his chest, not heavy with sadness, but full, like the ache of a story well told. Rusty, gazing out the window, seemed to carry the same quiet understanding, his eyes catching the fading light as if searching for something beyond the horizon. "You did good, old pal," Tom whispered again, his voice softer this time, almost lost in the hum of the truck's engine. The road wound through sagebrush and rocky outcrops, the air thick with the scent of damp earth from the earlier drizzle. Tom's mind drifted to the months past, Rusty leading Jasper and Scout through the barn door, muddy and trembling, the countless hours of patient lessons, the way the kitten's eyes had sparkled with recognition at the fence just moments ago. He wondered what Rusty felt now, if the dog sensed the finality of their departure, or if his instincts simply told him his work was done. Rusty shifted, resting his chin on Tom's knee, a gesture so familiar it felt like a conversation in itself. Back at the barn, Tom left the door open, letting the cool evening breeze sweep through. Rusty padded to the corner where Jasper and Scout had once slept, sniffing the blankets, still faintly scented with their presence. Tom watched, leaning against the doorway, his old jacket slung over his shoulder. "Miss him already, don't you?" he said, half to Rusty, half to himself. The dog looked up, his eyes steady, then settled onto the blankets, curling up as if guarding the memory of the kittens. Over the next few days, Tom kept busy, repairing the gatepost and tending to the yard, but the barn felt quieter, the absence of Jasper and Scout's playful scuffles a constant echo. Rusty, too, seemed subdued, lingering longer by the trough or sniffing the spots where the kittens had practiced their stalking. Yet, Tom noticed a subtle shift in the dog, a kind of calm resolve, as if he understood his role had been fulfilled. One morning, as Tom sipped coffee on the porch, Rusty brought him an old rag, the one they'd used in the kittens' hunting games. Tom laughed, scratching Rusty's ears. "All right, buddy. Let's keep moving." A week later, Lisa called with an update. "Jasper and Scout are thriving," she said, her voice bright. "They're leading the other young bobcats in play, and the researchers are obsessed with their behaviors. Some of that stalking precision is definitely Rusty's doing." She paused, then added, "The reserve wants you to come back, Tom. Not just as an advisor, but to train staff on your methods. They think this could change how we rehab orphaned wildlife." Tom glanced at Rusty, sprawled in a patch of sunlight, chewing on a stick. What do you think, old friend? Ready for another adventure? Rusty's tail thumped once, as if in agreement. Tom smiled, telling Lisa he'd consider it. The idea of returning to the reserve, of building on what Rusty had started, sparked something in him, a purpose he hadn't felt since his sanctuary days. That afternoon, Tom pulled out his notebook, flipping through pages of observations. Jasper's perfect crouch, Scout's impatient leaps, Rusty's gentle corrections. He added a new entry, detailing the final visit, the way the kittens had run to the fence, their joy undimmed by time. He included a photo he'd taken, Jasper and Scout mid-pounce, Rusty watching from a distance, his posture proud yet relaxed. Tucking the notebook away, Tom felt a surge of gratitude for the unlikely family they'd formed, however briefly. As the sun dipped low, Tom and Rusty walked the property's edge, the desert glowing under a star-dusted sky. Rusty trotted ahead, sniffing the ground, his energy returning. Tom thought of the reserve, of Jasper and Scout growing into their wild selves, and of a new program that might help other lost creatures find their way. He looked at Rusty, who paused to meet his gaze, eyes bright with the same quiet wisdom that had guided two frightened kittens to safety. "You changed things, Rusty," Tom said, his voice steady. "Not just for them, but for me." The dog tilted his head, then bounded forward, chasing a rustle in the sagebrush. Tom laughed, following at a slower pace, the desert stretching wide and open before them. Whatever came next, whether advising at the reserve or simply tending their quiet corner of Nevada, Tom knew they'd face it together, just as they always had. The horizon glowed faintly, promising not an end, but a new chapter waiting to unfold.